everyone. How are we all doing tonight? That was really enthusiastic. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Sam. I'm a freshman here at Pennridge High School. Like many of you will be, and parents, how your kids will be next year. I'm a part of this amazing band called Rock You. It is one of the clubs here at Pennridge High School that has to offer. It's part of the music. We get to do amazing things. As you can see, we have a lot of fun in doing this, and I thought for a second I would talk to you guys a little bit about my high school experience so far. So, like a lot of you, I did not come from the Pennridge area. I came from outside of Pennridge. I went to a different school. And coming here, I didn't know anybody. Like when I tell you I knew no one, I knew no one. It was crazy. But first day, I heard about this amazing program called Rock You. Seems pretty cool. So I went to the room that it was being held in after school, and I met some amazing people there. Some of my closest friends right now are in Rocky with me, and it's truly been one of the best experiences I have had. Going into this school, it's pretty big. It was a little scary at first. I did not know my way around the school, but there were so many amazing teachers. I see some of them in the room right now who really helped me out. If you guys could give a round of applause to them. They really helped me navigate my school. They helped me find my classes. I met some amazing friends who helped me. And all the clubs here really, really do help. I definitely encourage you guys to sign up for some. This school is absolutely amazing, and I say that with every fiber in my body. And I really hope that you guys enjoy this experience. Once again, I'm Sam. I'm part of Rock You. I really hope to see you in the future, and I'm going to hand it over to administration.
Sam, thank you very much. Can we get another round of applause for Sam and Rock You? They left you. A couple of house cleaning things before I started. I just was informed that there might be some individuals who came to attend our high school block scheduling event. All right, if that's the case, you can hang out for a little bit, but this is actually, I want to make sure everybody's in the right spot. This is our 8th grade transition meeting to high school. But if you want to stay for the block scheduling, a piece of our presentation is going to be on that. But I should probably start with introducing myself. My name is Tim Ketty, and I have the honor and privilege of serving as a principal here at Pennridge High School. And I guess first and foremost, we should also just welcome our class of 2028, because I see a bunch of students and parents here, so give yourselves a round of applause. So, as Sam was speaking about, there's a great story behind why Rock You was even here tonight, because typically we start an evening like this. I had originally asked the orchestra and band to play, but they actually, due to the change in the schedule, are in Florida. These are the events that your children and you as students will have access to becoming part of a club like Rock You that just started 3 years ago, that is now 3 bands strong and playing festivals all over Bucks County and here. They actually approached me once they heard, they were excited that our music department had gone down to Florida, and actually came up to me and asked me if they could play. So as my first big community event standing in front of individuals, how cool is it that I get introduced to AC/DC? Like, that is something that most principals don't have the pleasure of doing. But our learning path tonight, and there's a lot of information to be given out, really starts with an overview of high school. What is your high school experience going to look like? That's going to be led into having a conversation regarding block scheduling, and then we're going to follow that into your course selection. So this slide, and it's a little drowned out, but I want, if there's one slide that you remember from tonight and all the information that we give you, this is the slide that I want you to remember. Because on the top it talks about Pennridge and being proud, principled, and prepared. So the next 4 years of your high school careers is about having pride in our school, in our community. We want all of our students to be proud to wear their Pennridge gear, to be proud of the education that they are earning and receiving here, and working towards whatever their post-secondary goals are. Principle is an integral piece of this. Principle speaks about walking through life with honesty and a moral compass that is representative of our community. And prepared is prepared academically for whatever it is that you plan on doing afterwards, all right? But also prepared to know what to do when you actually fail, which is a part of life. For being prepared when things succeed, which is a different skill. But if you were to ask me, the most important thing would be being prepared to know what to do when you don't know what to do. And that is absolutely a part of the comprehensive education here, whether that's involving yourself in co-curricular activities or in the classroom. Now, the quote underneath that is from an author by the name of Dr. Stephen Covey. And a while back, he actually wrote a book called 7 Habits of Effective Leaders or People. I thought it was a fitting quote to start your experience here in our conversations tonight about your 4 years here at Pennridge High School, because what he talks about is clarifying your goals and values that you base your decisions on. Tonight is that beginning of the process. It actually started on the 12th when your teacher recommendations came live, and you have through March 1st, and we'll get into this in more detail, to finalize your course selection. But what we want to do is begin with an end in mind. It's that planning process as far as how you are going to clarify what direction and what your destination is post-secondary. And what I mean by that is middle school was about prepping for high school. High school was about prepping you for life and what you want to do. And what we want to do and what we believe strongly is that we have our programming and we have the people here to help you accomplish those goals. What we're going to do is I want to give everybody a brief overview of what this looks like. And I'll come back to this, but this is last year's senior video, which kind of encapsulates their 4 years of experience. So sticking to that beginning with an end in mind, we're going to take a couple minutes and watch this video.
I saw a photograph from 10 years back as you and I were standing in the rain. Somewhere outside Atlanta, and I think my 12-seat band is right there out of frame. It was before I knew my way around Los Angeles, before I ever cared about nice neighborhoods. We were driving through the night, sleeping on hotel floors, thinking that we had it good. We were kids back then, thinking we would live forever. We were kids back then. We were wild and free, taking on the world together. We were kids back then. That's how we're always gonna be. Friend on my timeline who had lately been on my mind. We were close as blood. And if we sat down for a drink, I think we'd forget all the stupid reasons we lost touch. It was just because we were kids back then, thinking we would live forever. We were kids back then, you and me. We were wild and free, taking on the world together. We were kids back then. That's how we're always gonna be. I feel like new sunglasses, like a brand new pair of jeans. I feel like taking chances. I feel a lot like 17. place called home. All that I need and all that I want has been here with me all along. I feel it now, I feel it now. I see the light break through the clouds. I feel it, I feel it now. Oh, I feel it now, I feel it now. Into my feet, out through my crown. I feel it, I feel it now. I feel it. I feel it. Trusting myself, chasing the wind, knowing that it's gonna find me again. The great unknown calls me home. Carving the road, making a path. Here in this moment, right where I'm at, I had to roam to know I'm home. All that I need and all that I want has been here with me all along. I feel it now, I feel it now. I see the light break through the clouds. I feel it, I feel it now. Oh, I feel it now, I feel it now. Into my feet, out through my crown. I feel it, I feel it now. I feel it. I feel it. Air in my lungs till the road begins.
To the class of 2023, when we walked into this building today, we were students, and now we leave as graduates.
We have walked the halls of Pennridge High School for the last time. We've picked our classes for the last time, and we have raised our hands for the last time.
All for the last time as Pennridge students.
But the memories don't end here.
The memories don't end when we are handed our diplomas, nor do they end when we toss our caps into the air.
While our time at Pennridge has come to an end, the memories of friendships we made, the lessons we learned, and the experience we persevered never will.
The class of 2023 has endeavored countless historical moments, which shaped us into the unique graduating class that we are today.
Throughout the good and the bad times, we had each other. We pushed each other.
We leaned on each other.
We encouraged each other.
We learned from each other.
We are no longer kids. We'll move on.
We will do great things, but we will never forget, and they will always remember the class of 2023.
One day, we will all grow old. We will all look back, and when that day comes, we will
remember our year.
Passed out to Brook
I
Road.
think that's a good place to start, because I'll put it this way, in 4 years, which is 720 school days, which is 8 semesters, which is 32 blocks. At the conclusion of that, your children and the students who are sitting here are going to be creating that video for their remembrance. And high school should be about having a great time. Proms, dances, athletic events, co-curricular opportunities. This is what the collective experience is about. In that entire video, I think there was one reference to class, well, 2 references to actually going to class. It was the last time we had to raise our hands, and I think there was one reference to class. Beyond that, what you saw was kids enjoying their experiences, enjoying their fellowship and working with each other. Get involved. over 50 clubs. We have 32 athletic teams, 15 competition music opportunities, 2 major productions from theater, student council. There is something for everybody to do. And your involvement in the school is only going to enhance your educational experience. Because what we know is what happens in those classrooms, which is our ultimate goal and our prerogative, all right, is only a minimum part of your children's experience when they're here. And we take that very seriously. So I ask you, what will your story be? And how will you prepare for that? This is where I'm going to flip a little bit. And what I want to do is, this is really geared for the parents. Because I want to put a realistic expectation of where we are with not just here in Pennridge, but where students are. So when you take a look at this slide, just take it in for a second. And what it speaks about is what our children have grown up with. And I want to caveat this, because this is nobody's fault, right? Nobody purposefully did this, nor do we have to view it as a bad thing. But as we're walking through high school and as educators, what we are trying to do is understand that the modern child is fine-tuned for speed, convenience, entertainment, nurturing, and entitlement. So a piece of that, what these things have subliminally and on a soft end have taught individuals, is that slow is bad. That when things get hard, that's bad. That when you're bored, it's bad. That risk is bad. And part of what we're trying to develop is to undo some of those pieces the best we can from a high school standpoint, where we're going to say, slow down, take a risk. This is where we need to balance between parent involvement and student choice. Cognitively and developmentally, the children are at an age where we need to invert the system, where it is less about what mom and dad want for their child and more about what does your child want and how can we help them accomplish their goals. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, but I think we want to set a realistic stage of what we're trying to work against and try to develop as we're moving forward from a proud, principled, and prepared state. Now I'm going to come back to this in a little bit, but right now what I want to do is kind of introduce your team. All right, so first and foremost, my boss is here checking out my first presentation, so I'd like to introduce Dr. Scheid, who is our assistant superintendent in charge of curriculum. I have Mr. Thomas, who's having a hard time following me, but he's our director of communications, and this entire presentation will be put out on our YouTube channel so that individuals who weren't able to see it can see it, or you can pass it on to individuals. But we have a large administrative team and supportive team here as well. So if Mr. Hughes can please stand up. He is currently our class of 2025 principal, and he is the master scheduler for the school. So when you want to yell about the schedule, don't call my office, you call Mr. Hughes' office. Sitting next to him is Mr. Hagan, who is our assistant, who is the principal in charge of athletics as well as pupil services. He will be outside after this to be answering any questions regarding athletics. Behind him is Mr. Ott, who is our class of 2027 principal, and he is in charge of the co-curricular activities and was the genius behind Rock U, as well as many other clubs were represented outside. Mrs. McCann is sitting there, who is a part of our administrative team, who is our supervisor of special education, and she's going to look at me with a stink eye if I don't announce that currently, actually, every time I go in to try to talk to her about something, she's typically on a transition meeting with all of the 8th grade special education students. So they are ongoing and continuing. And for any parent who has any concerns regarding that, you call her, not me. All right? And you can also just send an email to be invited to any future IEP meetings. But we have that covered as we're moving forward. And Mr. Dyer's name's up there, but he's not here, so I'm not going to introduce him. He's actually a teacher who's in charge of our college and career readiness program. But most importantly, I want to kind of give the mic now over to your team, because we operate, oh, look at that. Will somebody please tell me to advance the slide? We operate in a house system, so the one thing that will be consistent about your child's education is your team. And that's Mrs. Gersh, is the principal for the 2028 class. Where is Mrs. Cuthbert? There is one of your guidance counselors, and Mr. Barons, he can't miss you. He'll be there's the other guidance counselor there. And is Mrs. Skilton here or no? She's not. So at this time, what I would like to do is just pass the mic over to Mrs. Gersh, who will go through our block scheduling, and then the guidance counselors will talk briefly about course selection as well.
Perfect. We are a team. Thank you all for being here. Again, my name is Kara Gurish. I am the house principal right now for the class of 2024, but we are getting excited to prepare for the class of 2028. I visited along with Mr. Barons, Mrs. Cuthbert, Mr. Caddy as well. We visited the middle schools last week. Feels like a blur with snow days in there. We visited last week, and I said this to your students, and I'm going to say it again. Every school we entered and teachers came up to us unsolicited, administrators came up to us unsolicited, and said, "You are getting the greatest class ever." There was not one thing that was said other than, "These kids are the best. I'm so sad to see them leave." And that just warmed my heart, because I only take good classes. So I was really happy to hear I'm getting another good class, because right now the class of 2024 is the best class here at Pennridge High School. And I'm happy to know that next year I'll have the same thing with the class of 2028. So thank you parents, thank you students for laying the groundwork to what is already going to be a great year. As Mr. Keddy mentioned, we work in a house system. And what that means is that we work as a team to support your students. It's a big transition coming to 9th grade, but we are here as a group in one office across from the library in order to support your students. It's going to be a transition year for everyone, because as you probably have heard, we're entering into a new instructional model, looking at functioning in a block schedule. So my role today is to talk a little bit about what that will look like. So to start us off, I'm just going to put up on the screen just an outline of what our schedule will look like, what it will be like for your students as they enter Pennridge come this August. You'll notice a couple of things about this schedule. You will see that we are going to start with a flex period, and then we'll have 4 blocks. This schedule was crafted after multiple years of research, discussion, visits to other neighboring school districts, committee work that involved teachers, administrators, board members, parents, and students. And what we were trying to do is we were trying to craft a schedule where we could offer students the ability to have daily support from their teachers outside of their regular class time to engage with other students, time to take part in activities during the school day, and also to have the ability to have an instructional period where they're with their teachers and their classmates for a longer period of time so they can dive more deeply into material, so that they can be working in more inquiry-based models, so they could be working more collaboratively, so they could be developing those skills that'll be needed in that post-secondary world in a better, more efficient fashion. Additionally, what we really like about this block schedule is we have students who are able to now concentrate on 4 classes at a time, up to 4 classes at a time, with rather than 7 or 8. So it's really allowing for students to have more concentrated time, not only on their studies, but with their teachers as well. So let's talk a little bit about what that flex period will look like. As I mentioned, that will be a time at the beginning of the day, someone will have a soft start for students where they can come in, have breakfast, get acclimated, visit with teachers for extra support, take part in some clubs, perhaps shoot some hoops in the gym to get themselves ready for their day. So that'll be the first part of our day. Then students will move into their first block. So let's take a look at what that could possibly look like. We would have our 25 minutes of flex. Then we would have our different periods, first block, second block, third block, and fourth block. Each instructional block would be 85 minutes long. Now you may be wondering, what is the deal there with block 3? Block 3 is where all of our lunches would be housed. So some students in some classes will go from block 2 directly to lunch. They'll have their 30-minute lunch period, and then they'll go to their block 3 class. Other students will go from block 2 directly to block 3. They'll have 85 minutes of instruction, and then they will have their 30-minute lunch. The next group of students would have a third block where they begin with the first half of their block, then they leave and go and have lunch, and then they return to their third block and finish out their 85 minutes of instruction. So in this system, each student would be participating in lunch at various times during that third block. We were really careful in how we designed not only our lunches, but also our flex time to make sure that our students who participate in Upper Bucks County Technical School would have the same ability to access their teachers, have the same opportunity to have lunch here with their friends as the students who are not attending Upper Bucks County Technical School. So you'll see that we have it arranged where our students who would be in AM Tech, which if most freshmen, if they are participating in the tech school, would be in AM. Sometimes it changes, but by and large, freshmen are in AM Tech. So they would come, have their flex period, leave for tech, participate in their tech program, and then they'd be back for third block, which includes their lunch. Our PM Tech students would be in the first lunch that I described, and then they would participate in their tech program. So if we look at just a generic schedule here, we can see how courses would be broken down. In a semester-based block, we would have 4 classes in each semester. Most classes within a semester would be 1 credit long. 1 credit worth. So we have 4 classes in the first semester and 4 classes in the second semester. Students can take a total of 8 credits within a year. Let's take a look at how this plays out. How does this influence students' schedules? How does this actually open the door for more opportunity for our students? If we take a look at our graduation requirements, we can see that students in the class of 2028, quite coincidentally, will strive for 28 credits. So 28 and 28 is what we'll be striving for. Our students will have an opportunity to earn up to 32 credits if they schedule for every period that is available for them. However, we offer some flexibility here, and students will be required to get 28 credits. We can see that that's divided up to give a lot of opportunity for students for choices and personalizations based on their interests, based on their future plans. If we take a look, we can see we have our core classes, 4 in English, 4 in social studies, 3 if you're going to the tech school, 3 in math, 3 in science. Then we have a STEM and arts and humanities component, our health and phys ed component, and then we have a generous allotment of electives that students can choose for a total of 28 credits. So that's where our students will be going. We're constantly working to build those credits. If we take a look at a couple of generic schedules here, we can take a look at how this might play out for students. If we take a look at this student, we see they start their day with flex time. Their first block is early American history, which would be a 1 credit class. Then they have a block 2 of English, block 3 of French, block 4 of CAD, which is computer-aided design. All of those classes would earn the student 1 credit. So in the first semester, at the end of the first semester, that student would earn 4 credits. Second semester for the student, they have their geometry, they have their biology, and then they have electives. And what those electives are classes that typically were run on a semester before we were in block, but what they'll do is they'll run on a quarter basis. So for the third quarter, the first quarter of the second semester, that student is in food prep and would earn 0.5 credits for food prep. In the second part of the second semester, the fourth quarter, they're in drawing and painting, and they would earn a half credit for that class. And finally, for the entire second semester, in the last block, that student has wellness. That combination would earn that student 8 credits. 8 credits towards the 28 credits that are required for graduation. We'll take a look at a couple of other examples. Here we have a tech student who would go to tech in the morning, would earn 4 credits at tech, 4 elective credits, and then would come for algebra and English for third and fourth block. In second semester would be taking their science and their social studies. Additionally, we'll have some classes where students will be meeting on an A-B schedule. We have many students, for example, who are part of our music program who want to take choir and our band. So those classes will run on an A-B schedule. So on A days during that first quarter, that first block, they would be taking their concert band class, and B days, they would take their mixed choir. This is not to say that you have to take both of these classes if you're interested in one. If a student is not interested in choir, they only play instruments, that's fine. They can select that. And there'll be other electives that run on that A-B schedule that will fit in that with their individual paths and schedules. English in the second block, and then we have in our third, we have actually a mistake on the slide, I'm just realizing for the first time because we have English in here twice. The student is taking humanities, which will also run on an A-B schedule. And that humanities class is that English and social studies that is taught collaboratively with the English and social studies teacher, and that will be going on an A-B schedule as well. And then in block 4, we have wellness, and then in second semester, German. So we can see that there's a lot of variety in the way that individual students' schedules will work. One of the things I'm going to say now, and I'm kind of front-loading to what Mr. Behrens is going to be talking about, is that as we go through course selection, as students start to select their classes, they really shouldn't worry about, well, is that an A-B day class, or is that a semester class, or is that a quarter class? That's not what we need to be worried about as we're selecting our courses. Instead, students and families want to concentrate on registering for 8 credits of courses, adding 8 credits of courses and 2 credits of alternates as they make their selections. And Mr. Behrens will talk more about that in a couple of minutes. But don't worry about how this puzzle fits together. Instead, worry about selecting courses that are appropriate for your student, appropriate for their interests, and total those 8 credits and help them reach their graduation requirements.
Oh, good evening. I think Mrs. Gurr said it best. We want you to focus on, and the students to focus on, course selection. I know with block scheduling, everyone's a little nervous about how the setup is going to work, but what we want you to focus on over the next 2 weeks is the classes that your son and daughter are going to take as they enter Pennridge High School. So what we feel is important, and for your grade, this is 9th grade, each 9th grader will be scheduled for 8 credits, which is 8 classes. And I know for a lot of you out here, especially the students, credits is kind of a different term that's being thrown around. So in regards to each class that you take, that could be a credit. So the key is everyone here will sign up for 8 credits. Obviously, as you look up here, you will see different grade levels will have different requirements. So as you move through the high school, your requirements, in 11th grade and 12th grade will be different than when you're taking classes in 9th and 10th grade. I feel like this is the most important slide when it comes to course selection. And this, I think, breaks it down the best for your students. Each student, and I'm sure this is already happening or will be happening at the middle school level, they will have, all their teachers will give and have their recommendations. So for example, each student will take 1 credit of English. Your English teacher will recommend you for your English class for next year. Each student will take 1 credit of math. Again, your math teacher will put down a recommendation in Power School on what you should take next year. And I recognize that math is sequential, so it usually builds upon each year. If you're going from Algebra 1, you'll go to Geometry, then Algebra 2. So that is a sequential courses. Then each student will take 1 credit of science, which at the 9th grade level is biology. Each student will select 1 credit of social studies. Then we recommend 1 credit of wellness, and that puts you at 5 credits. And then from there is where you get some flexibility with what you can take with your electives. If it's a foreign language, if it's business classes, if it's music classes, if it's art classes, if it's wood shop classes. I'm probably using the wrong term. I'm showing my age a little bit. STEM classes, okay? But you get to choose 3 electives, which is what we would say general electives, other option besides the 4 major classes. With that said, there are students out here that have signed up for the VOTEC school. They are still going to schedule, as you see above you there, for 8 credits. When they get accepted into the tech school will contact myself and Mrs. Cuthbert, and what we will do then, we will manually take them out of their electives and keep them in their English, socials, math, and science class, and they will attend the VOTEC school. And I know, as Mrs. Gurish had mentioned, I would say 98% of the students that go to tech school in 9th grade will be in the AM Tech. So we want to make sure we accommodate, because if someone wants to go to the tech school, that's great. We're not going to stop them from doing that. Okay, so I hope that makes sense in regards to the options here. Okay, we also highly recommend you see alternate credits. So if there's other courses, other electives that maybe aren't your first choice but would be your second or third choice, we want you to put those down as 2 credits of alternate electives. Why do we do that? In case a class doesn't run, maybe an elective doesn't have enough students sign up for it, then Mrs. Cuthbert and I can look at what other options that the student has put down. Maybe something doesn't work perfectly in the schedule, then we can look at other options. So it's important for them to put down 2 credits of alternate electives. Okay, course levels. So basically here at the high school, we have 4 levels of courses. And for the 9th graders, it's basically academic, which is college prep, honors, and advanced placement, which is AP. Now you also see a term up there, dual enrollment. Now dual enrollment basically is an agreement that we have with some colleges, and especially the community college across the street, where your student will have an opportunity as they enter their 11th and 12th grade years to take classes at a college or the community college through our dual enrollment classes, or dual enrollment program, I should say. Okay? But I think as freshmen, your focus should be on the different levels that you could take here, which again is academic, honors, and there's a couple classes that are AP, which is advanced placement. All right, so I want to make sure that's clear as well. And so we have a timeline here. Okay, jump ahead. All right, the deadline to sign up for the tech school was February 9th, so hopefully everyone has done that and completed that. The portal has opened. I know here at the high school, the portal has opened. Am I correct, Mr. Hughes? Not yet at the 8th grade level? It has, okay. All right. Mrs. Cuthbert and I are going to go down to the middle schools at the end of February to check on how the students are doing in regards to selecting their classes and if they have any questions. Tonight's 8th grade orientation night. And again, the students can input their selection in Power School between now and March 1st. That's when the portal will close, which will be March 1st. So that gives you about 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks to make your selection. Prior to making your selection, we do recommend you looking at the program of studies. You can go on to our high school website, and our program of studies for this year, or for next year, 24-25, is on our website. Thank you, Mr. Thomas. So I think it's very valuable for you as students and parents to look at the different types of courses that we have to offer and read what the description is regarding those classes. You can review the course worksheets that were given out at the middle school. It shows you all the different classes that are offered for freshmen. We broke it down that these are the classes they can take as freshmen. As the students get older, there'll be more options, and they will get a different worksheet. So each grade gets a different worksheet with the classes that are available to them. Review the course, review the options with each other. Make sure you're talking to your student, your sons or daughters, about what classes that you want to take. Consider their strengths in regards to taking these classes. And we also have, what we have is a career pathway program. I know Mr. Dyer could not be here tonight, so I'm going to pass this back over to Mrs. Gurrish to discuss our career pathway.
And here at the high school, we have really where we're focusing in on the 5 different pathways that are listed up on the screen. And what that means is that Mr. Dyer works with our teachers, with the local community, with students as well, to identify opportunities for students to explore their interests, to explore jobs in healthcare, to explore jobs in manufacturing, to take a look at different labs that exist throughout the area, whether that's a machine shop or it's going into Merck to see how the different medicines are being manufactured in our community. So what he does is he crafts pathway experiences for students. So all students are able to pick a pathway to say, you know what, Mr. Dyer, I want to be a part of your program, and I'm very interested, if I go back, in arts and communication. I really want to have a job like Mr. Thomas's, where I'm there being the spokesperson and really setting up all the PR for a big organization like Pennridge High School. So what Mr. Dyer would then do is make sure that that student is alerted to different experiences. Ultimately, a student can earn credit for being a part of the pathway program. What it is, again, is an opportunity to start exploring what jobs look like before leaving high school. And one of the things that I like to think about when thinking about the pathway program is it gives students an opportunity potentially to go and shadow someone like a nurse, let's just say, because that person from childhood has decided that they want to be a nurse. And what the pathway program can provide for that student is the opportunity to go into St. Luke's and start shadowing a nurse. And maybe that student will realize that there are so many other jobs. Maybe they want to be a lab tech. Maybe they want to be involved in ultrasound. All of these other positions that exist within the medical community that they didn't know about. So it broadens their interest and their horizons and their perspective about what's available. They may also decide, you know what, I can't stand blood. There's no way I can ever step foot into a room where someone is bleeding. This is not for me. Wouldn't it be better for a student to realize that in high school before spending $20,000, $30,000 in a nursing program, getting in their first clinical at the end of their sophomore year and realizing, wait a minute, I've made a big mistake. So the pathway program is not only about identifying strengths and interests, but it's also maybe finding out what it is you're not interested in, to help you as you start to navigate what your life will be post-high school. So Mr. Dyer's office is right next to the class of 2024 office, and he is going to be happy to speak to everyone about the programs that he has to offer. And I really encourage you to take a look at the program of studies, not only for what Mr. Behrens was talking about in regards to reading about different classes and what those classes entail, but also to take a look at some of the sheets that Mr. Dyer's included. And what that does is it kind of takes a look at some of those pathways and the jobs that are associated with those pathways, and then it links classes we have here at Pennridge that would help you to start exploring that pathway, develop the skills and knowledge that are maybe necessary for that pathway as well. So in addition to looking at the program of studies to find a description of a course, it's also a really helpful tool to start to help a student be a little more systematic in choosing and electing courses that connect to things that they're interested in. I'm going to turn things back over to Mr. Ketty, and he's going to talk about another way that the class of 2028 will be able to be celebrated as they have success, and that will be through something called our Scholars Diploma.
Thank you, Mrs. Carroll. Yeah, why don't I take this back? This is brand new, and you will be the first class eligible to be able to qualify to attain what we consider a Scholars Diploma. In a block schedule, and I mentioned this before, because what we were talking about is minimum requirements, those minimum requirements being 28 credits. You have the opportunity to earn 32 credits. So for those individuals, well, let me backtrack just a little bit. What we know from other schools that run similar models is the average student is going to get 30 credits. So for those individuals who hit these targets, a part of your diploma will be an acknowledgement of fulfilling a scholar's pathway. It doesn't take away from or come in lieu of any other academic accolades that we have historically instituted in the past. It is just another option for students to attain to reach above and beyond those 28 requirements. What was equally important to us as a school and as a district is to create that similar pathway for any students that are attending our technical school. Because I had mentioned before, begin with an end in mind. We're not here to dictate what our students' goals are. We're here to help them find their pathways. I said I was going to come back to scene. Speed, convenience, entertainment, nurturing, and entitlement. So I want to walk through some simple basic steps on what you can help us do in prep for coming to high school. First is informed decisions. You've heard a lot of information tonight. 8 courses, graduation requirements, block scheduling. Program of studies on our website, on the high school website, in the main banner, there is a block scheduling. If you click on that, it has every piece of information that is available on block scheduling. Most importantly, we put together a frequently asked questions based on feedback from the community. Every one of those questions were collated, put together, and answered, and it's on a sheet so you could sit down and actually process through it. Later on, in a couple minutes, we're going to cut you guys loose so that you can really kick the tires of the building, walk around, and go speak to our curriculum leaders in different areas if you have any questions regarding curriculum. It's not a time to really speak about the scheduling component. It's about how is course selection and what are my best options for my students. I think that's important, and I'll come back to some dates, but that informed decision is going into the program of study. At the back of the program of studies is those sheets on college and career readiness. There is a voluminous amount of information for you to talk about and develop plans. And here's the cool part. You don't have to be right, and you don't have to make the right decisions. Support the school. Your teachers have made recommendations on what the next sequence of courses should be for your child based on their professional experience. I would honor that. I also say support the school. We're not always going to be right. I'll stand in front of you as a principal of the high school and say that we will make mistakes, but that's okay. Communicate with us. This is a partnership. No teacher, no administrator wakes up and says, I want to make Johnny's life difficult today. So when they come home and say they hate their teacher or they hate their schedule or something's going wrong, I would implore you to ask one simple question. Johnny, what is it that you want to do to fix this problem? Invert the system. Push back on the students. Speak to the classroom teacher for your classroom recommendations. The middle school teachers made those recommendations. That's who needs to answer those questions. Middle school counselors. When they come to the high school, if there's an issue going on in a class, speak to that teacher. Contact the guidance counselor. If you don't like that answer, contact the grade level administrator. For you guys, it would be Mrs. Garish. If you don't like her answer, don't call me, call Dr. Scheid.
Oh, thank you.
I'm just kidding, but this is truly a partnership. So we want to support you guys, and we ask for your support back from a parent standpoint. Slow down. 4 years, 720 days. You're not going to graduate tomorrow, and we have plenty of room to course correct. And it's okay for us to slow everything down for your children. Their lives are moving too quickly. And this high school experience that they have is going to fly by. Turn them off. What do you guys think I'm referring to? Cell phones. Your children's unfettered access to social media is absolutely detrimental to their development. I am standing in front of you as a parent of 2 children who graduated from this school and the principal of a high school with 2,300 students. We need to enforce and start speaking to our kids to turn their phones off. I'll ask you to do something before you come to the high school. And I don't care when you do it. You don't have to do it tomorrow. Over the summer, take one day where your entire family just turns their cell phones off and tries to exist without them. Just one day. Just try it. See if it helps out. So I'm going to give you some stats here. 95. 95 is the amount of TikToks that the average adolescent looks at in a day. No, I'm sorry, 95 minutes is how much they spend on TikTok a day. 165 is the amount of TikToks that they can watch in 95 minutes. I want you to think about that. That math doesn't really work out. For the guys out here, 10,000. There's a study out there that says the average 21-year-old male spends 10,000 hours playing video games. That is the same amount of time that it actually takes to get an undergraduate degree and a graduate degree. Your children spend that much time playing video games. And sorry, dads, if I'm diming you out, I apologize. As we're trying to prepare and move forward for the 21st century and develop skills, I'm not so sure that's the healthiest way for individuals to be spending their time. Who's paying anyway? Dads, moms, you might get this one too. This is my permission. Are you ready? To use the most underused word in the English language. Are you ready? Say it louder.
No.
No. It's okay to tell your kids no. They're going to hear it at school. We will tell them, no, you can't do that. No, this is what your consequence is. And that's where I'm going to go back to say support the school. We're not trying to hold anybody down. That's not what this is about. But in trying to push back on this generational entitlement, we need to be able to say no. Kids need two things: boundaries, here are the bumpers to play within, and unconditional love. You messed up, we're going to dust you off and pull you back in. Dinner time. I got a 22 and a 19-year-old. 19-year-old works full-time. 22-year-old works full-time. 19-year-old is in college. But when they were in high school, playing soccer, after-school activities, life is a mess. Work responsibilities as parents. Try to dedicate one night a week to sit down and have a family meal. What a perfect opportunity to pull out the thrilling reading of our program of studies and really delve into block scheduling and talk about what we're going to do as we move forward. One time a week. That's all I'm asking you to try. Model it for them. Simple, not going to go into too much detail on that. Our children will model our behavior. Our expectations here at the high school from our teachers is if there is a situation and an adult intervenes, it should de-escalate right away. We need to step back, talk logically, and work with people in a restorative manner to move them forward. Enlist others. If I was to do a little exercise, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, and I ask you to close your eyes, you don't necessarily have to do that, and think about the greatest moment in your life. When you opened your eyes and you explained that to me, you would most likely be around other people. Enlist others. I call it the mom and dad factor. And I'm going to touch a chord with many parents here. How many times have you told your son or daughter not to do something and they continuously just do it? But then some other stranger, a coach, a teacher says, don't do that, and then they stop. And you're like, what the heck is going on here? Enlist others. Our ability to properly educate individuals and really push them forward is to rely on the community and other resources to help develop the character of our children. Chores. This is an interesting one. Students who are sitting here, I apologize in advance. The Harvard Grant Study is a study that's been going on for 85 years and still continues to go on. Don't ask me the details of it. I Googled it. However, the one predisposition for professional success and happiness in adulthood is directly tracked back to kids who did and were assigned chores when they were young. So before you get to high school, do some chores, because people who are way smarter than me are doing this study who are saying if you do chores, you're going to be more successful in life. So let's work a little smarter, not harder. I want you to take a look at this. Michael Jordan sitting up there. Michael Jordan played in the NBA. Started in, and I'm not a basketball guy, so the statisticians out there, I want to say 85-ish, played to 2001. I believe this is a picture of him trying to win the overall scoring title. Pretty cool picture. All right, what I want to do is just look at it for a second, because what I'm going to do is fast forward a generation. Okay? LeBron James. Arguably one of the best basketball players that ever lived. Similar shot, similar angle. Do you see the difference between these pictures? Let me go back. Now, don't focus in on the basketball here. Focus on the crowd. This is in the 1990s. This is in the 2000s. 1990s, 2000s. These individuals were at an event having an experience, experiencing life, writing a story. These knuckleheads are trying to take a picture with their cell phone and sell it on Snapbook or FaceChat or whatever you guys are using. They're not living an experience. They're trying to gain some benefit from it. What story do you guys want to write? Do you want to be products? And I'm not saying technology is bad, because there's many, many advantages to technology. But come on, guys. Like, that's pretty obvious. Wait, hold on. Oh, sorry, my bad. But look at the guy between the two players. He's just too old to have a cell phone. Last slide, I promise. I'm going to tell you one last story. And I'm going to take some liberties and preface this in Pennridge. Because this is Covey, and in his book, his last trait of highly effective people is sharpen your saw. And there's a parable with it. So there's this guy, he cuts down trees, and he's got this big tree with this big saw. And what he's doing is he is killing himself, but he's not really making too much effort getting this tree down. And here comes a handful of Pennridge students who are sitting down looking at this guy as he's trying to cut down this tree. And they're giggling and snarling, kind of like what teenagers would do. So the guy puts the saw down, and he goes, "What are you guys laughing at?" In a very proud, principled, and prepared manner, they answer him very respectfully. They say, "Yo, dude, if you sharpened your saw, that tree might actually come down quicker." They're working smarter, not harder. What Covey is referring to when he says sharpen your saw is preserving and enhancing your most valuable tool. All right, and let me give you a little secret. That tool is actually you. Your high school experience, our program of studies, why we are moving to block, is to sharpen the saws of your children so that they can be successful as they move forward beyond their high school experience. It happens in the classroom. It happens outside of the classroom. We are thrilled to have you guys come in, excited. I'm new too. I've been here 3 months. So the class of 2028 is going to be special to me because it will be the first class that I'm moving through. And guys, I'm learning with you. But what I know is I've got a staff of 250. I've got an administrative staff that is absolutely fantastic. And we are going to partner with you and make sure that we provide the best opportunities for your children. All right? It's their job to come in and take it. I thank you for your time. What I want to do is give Mrs. Garish a couple minutes to close this out, because she is actually the star of this show, because she is the one who is going to be helping guide your students on a day-to-day basis. So I want her to finish this off. But thank you very much for your time, and it has been an absolute pleasure. I'm just going to click it for you.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Mr. Keddy. One thing that Mr. Keddy and I, well, probably more than one thing, but one thing that we have in common is that we both have had the privilege of having our children be students here at Pennridge High School. Our daughters actually one of our daughters graduated in the same year. I've had 3 children go through the school. I taught 9th grade when I taught here at Pennridge High School. I love 9th grade. 9th grade is such a fantastic year, and I'm so excited to be working with 9th graders again. And the reason why I so enjoyed teaching 9th grade, and the reason why I love the role that I have now, is that as a teacher of 9th grade students, or as a house principal who travels with students for 4 years, I got to see students enter the high school, and I got to watch them, even if they weren't in my classroom, I got to watch them grow over their 4 years, see the maturity, see the changes, see the risks that they took. Some that led to great successes, some that were perhaps bad decisions, but seeing them grow nonetheless. And that's why I'm really excited to start again with your students. And I'm so excited because, as I said earlier, I've heard nothing but great things about this group of students. What we'd like to do now is to really give you all an opportunity to explore the building and to meet some of our curriculum leaders. So up on the screen, and then there was a handout that was provided, and I think there's some more under the balloons if you didn't get one. You can visit any of these locations in order to learn more about some specific programs. The only program that we don't have represented, because they're in Florida, is our music department, because they've traveled to Disney. But you can take a look at the different areas that you can go to in order to get some information. In a moment, I will ask people to start to dismiss, and at that point, you can make your way through those back doors if you choose, and there are some representatives from some of our clubs. We have over 51 clubs here. There's also a handout you can pick up that has information about our clubs. Or if you choose, you can go out the side doors as well and make your way to any of the locations that are listed up on the screen or on your handout. We do have some members of our NHS and our upstanders here today who can help direct you. So no one will get lost. We'll make sure that you find your way to whatever location you want. Again, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight, and we will be here to answer any questions for about the next hour.